Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Did you know that Portuguese bank accounts can sometimes be frozen by the authorities? As someone who's traveled extensively and now runs a business here in Portugal, I value freedom, seamless usability, and bulletproof security. That's why I can't say enough good things about Revolut. With a Revolut account as your backup, you'll still be able to pay bills, receive payments, and keep everything running smoothly, even if you're not in the country. Revolut gives you multi-currency accounts, lets you spend in over 150 currencies at interbank rates, and provides advanced security features like instant card freeze, disposable virtual cards, and safe online shopping. And an app that's as intuitive as it gets. To help support Podcast Portugal, and if you're thinking about setting up a bank account as a backup, click the link in the show notes to sign up for a new Revolut account. It's a win-win situation. You get all the benefits of Revolut, and every time someone signs up, Revolut rewards Podcast Portugal with €40. Revolut, freedom in your pocket. Sign up today and show your support for Podcast Portugal. This is Justin West from Podcast Portugal. I'm really honored today to be speaking to Ricardo Correia. He is from Adamastor Correia. He's from Adamastor Swim. It's a company that takes people enthusiastic to swim the coastline, open water swimming of the Algarve, and I think all over the world, which is really, really cool. So, Adam, what made you come up with this idea, and what got you into swimming in the first place, and then taking people on these trips?
Well, I've been a swimmer since I was 6 because I had the luck to be having a municipal swimming pool built just 50 meters away from my house, and I started swimming early, which, well, back then, early was 6 years old. Nowadays, it's just 6 months. Things evolve. And actually, I started going into the first open water races as a swimmer when I was 12, when I joined the club. But, being from Algarve, every time you could in the summertime, you were going with the friends, with the family, with the parents, with whatever, into the beach, because it was like holidays and or just some free time. Everybody was just going into the water, and as I was a swimmer, a competitive one, helped me out to be like way easier in the water. From that up to nowadays, like for 35 years afterwards, you start to know a lot of things about the wilderness. And in the end of the day, you think, well, why not show this to people? And I figure out there was a lot of people trying to go into the water, but they were like really afraid because it's kind of overwhelming, I don't know. I think you're just connected to the sea as well, but you can just...
Yeah, I mean,
Hello?
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I remember when I first moved to Portugal, I lived in Arifana, and one of the businesses that I was trying to think about was something called coast steering. It's something they do a lot in Wales. They wear life jackets and helmets, and it's a kind of mix between swimming and climbing at the foot of the cliffs.
I have a route in Arifana as well.
Yeah.
When I say I have a route, it's a marked route with all the exits, all the starting points. Because, if you have an emergency, my dad used to say, nobody's coming.
Yeah.
Means that, well, somebody will be coming, but until they come, you're going to have to figure out yourself how to deal with any kind of problem. So we have to get everything ready first. So we have the first aid kit, but mostly we have to take... most of my work is like, apart from trying to show this to people, like, business-wise, selling it, like trying to, when you're just scrolling on your Instagram account or your social media, the hard part is just showing that there is a company there in Algarve that's specialized there. And I actually started to have a swim camp in Azores, where I have a house in one of the small islands. not the big ones, not with the tourism. And the swimmers I had here said, "Where are all the tourists?" I said, "They aren't," because that's the best part of it. Because nowadays tourism is very important worldwide. Portugal is very important. It's very important for any Portuguese. But everybody wants to be out of tourism. It's kind of a paradox, actually, but it's what it is.
There is a limit. There's a ceiling, isn't there, to when it becomes too much.
And in this island, it's like at the most you get 1,000 people, 2,000 people a day coming in and coming out. And if you're comparing to Algarve, which is the reality I really know, it's going to be like, I don't know, 1 million persons a month just on the airplanes. And that's a lot. So, yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. I used to live in the southwest of England in Cornwall, and we had the similar thing in the summer. Like all of the little roads would get really blocked up. You couldn't find a space at the car park. You'd actually then big car parks and fields would open up, which you would have to pay for. So it all goes a little bit crazy with the tourism. So what I ended up doing was getting a little boat and just in the summers just anchoring like kilometers out to sea. There would be some rocks out at sea.
I know what
just
you mean.
Swimming around the rocks, and you just get that peaceful feeling. That connection between the ocean and the land. That little area there. It is an amazing place, and you've got a meeting place of 3 different environments. You've got the land. You've got the ocean with your head above the water and the ocean with your head in the water. So it's a really spectacular zone to be in.
This morning, I'm actually in these days, I'm in São Jorge. It's in the Azores. And this morning I was free diving and spearfishing. And once you're out under the water, when you're down there, like 15, 20 meters deep, it's just like the biggest mindfulness thing you can do for your life, because there's not anything that you can think about staying alive. And that's very relaxing in the end of the day, if you follow the safety procedures, of course, which I do also because I'm a free diving instructor. Some people say, "Oh, you're just a water guy." I say, "Yeah, I'm a water guy, just exploring what I have." And I have this amazing story that I also do snowboarding when I can buy it. And I went to Austria and met this lovely couple who have a snowboard camp in Austria. And they said, "So we will love to go and explore the ocean with you." I said, "All right. So what do you think?" And I said, "Well, come on." They joined in the summertime, and the happiness, because I was thinking, what takes people to swim, and that could be compared to what drives me to do this or have this business. And the smile they had from ear to ear, as they say in Portuguese, it was so big. And that was, like I said, well, I could do this for free, just like your job so much. And this is like my side job because I'm a swimming coach, like full time. But this part is just like, I said, whoa, and the smiles you get in people's faces, they're amazing. And it's way easier to get success in this business because you take people to swim, they get happy like easily. It's very nice as long as you follow the procedures. And most of the swimmers I have lately, well, in the start of the business, the company has got 1 year only. And in the start, I've been having a lot of people say, "Oh, I can trust you. I know you know all about the weather and about the currents." And I really wanted to test my first time in the sea. And I said, "All right, so that's pretty easy." I said, "Yeah, from where you're standing, it's really easy." But it gets like people get like very frozen. And I said, "All right, let's relax. Just feel the water in your feet. Things we do as we are kids, like catching waves." And last week we had a little bit of a swell here, and one of the guys said, "Ricardo, I really want to know how to swim in the rough conditions." And I said, "All right, we have some rules. First, we're not going to do anything stupid. That is like courage, because all the brave guys died in the sea. And it's just like when you're outside, you have to think about all the things that could go bad. And as you're getting old, it gets easier because you start to forecast. So this could go wrong. This guy could hurt the feet or one foot, or they could be stung by a jellyfish. And what do we have to do? And what are the basic programs? And it's kind of nice actually. So it's not really a job; it's like a way of living.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Part of I think you probably know Justin West coaching. I've done a lot of surf coaching for surfers in Algarve when I was there a little bit more often. And a big part of that was also surf guiding, and people would pay me to take them to surf spots which were a little bit off the beaten path. And I think that shared experience is really memorable, and I still get messages and emails now from some of the clients that I took to some really nice spots, and we were surfing there on our own, and it was really good. But also, like you said, there is a big safety factor. You need to have your emergency action plan, you need to have your NOPs, your normal operating procedures, and because
there's always a little bit of a briefing.
Yeah,
as I'm a teacher and a coach, I take that like we have to do this. This is the standard protocol. And sometimes I do repeat it because people either are scared because it's just the ocean, or just they want to go really fast. I say, slow down, please. We have to take this into account, and then we'll think about. Oh, but he said that there were no jellyfishes. So why are we getting this sunscreen that is against jellyfish? I said, because they could be. I don't know what's that one is out there. Yeah. There's no sharks. I mean, there's no sharks that gonna try to eat you or bite you just on a straight face, so on a line, because we know they are there. Yeah. The place I was today, I've been told they're like hammerhead sharks. Yeah, but they're just around. They don't have anything to do with us.
They don't do anything. No. Yeah, I think the only sharks that we have to worry about are tiger sharks, but they are not really in our waters, and they are mostly night. They mostly like attack at night, unless you're really unlucky and get like a tiger shark which is sick or injured or something like that.
You're not gonna really see them actually.
No, and Zambesis or bull sharks, they're the ones actually you have to be a little bit careful about. Yeah. But they are very territorial. So if you go to an area which is really heavily fished, if shark is on the menu, usually there's no bull sharks. Well, this is from a surfing perspective, anyway.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know more than I do than that part.
Yeah. I went to Madagascar. We had a surf camp there, and the first question was, "Is it sharky?"
It was like, a lot of people ask me that, and they also ask me, "Are there jellyfishes?" And I say, "No, we have this species. Well, in Algarve, we have some. They come. There's a lot of them in the south of Spain, in the Cadiz Gulf, and when we have southeast wind." It means that there's a swell or the water is going to be warming up in Algarve, in the south coast of Algarve. Mm-hmm. That's where I operate mostly. And in those situations, we see them and they're huge, but that's really scary. But my job as the guide is like leading the path or just being really close to the person who's swimming, and I'm just spotting them. Mm-hmm. And most of the times we can spot them and they're not too stingy, those ones. And then, for example, there's an amazing story that I'm just really in love with knowing all the species and all the animals that are in the water. And actually, I was telling, and I do always tell, we're gonna see this species, we're gonna see this species, we're gonna see this one, and they sting? No, they don't. Oh, did they bite? No, they don't bite. So I mean, there are two really big dangers in the sea. That are people drowning because they cannot swim, or they're going into rough conditions that they're not controlling, or the situation is more than they can bear, or the rocks, because actually people swim against rocks. I've seen them. That's my job, and about not allowing them to hit the rocks with the heads, but people are just so overwhelmed with the bottom or with everything around that they just almost hit the walls and boats and whatever. It's like sitting in the water.
Yeah, actually, I noticed with you, when you guys from your Instagram, that's how I found you. On your Instagram, you have, like I use for the spearfishing, you have the buoys, the things that you tow with the little flag. I think that is super important. And I thought, that's such a good idea. It's probably a legal requirement as well, because boats,
No.
You know,
Actually, in Portugal, it's not. But it's
yeah,
really important
so
to take
important.
them because, in the end of the day, you're gonna be spotted easier.
Hopefully,
And for example, yeah, for example, there are like uh, I don't know how many boats in the south coast of Algarve, and there are some places where the sea police, the marine, Polícia Marítima, that is maritime police. I don't know the real translation. There's like Coast Guard, whatever. They just don't. There are some places between Portimão and Carvoeiro where you're actually not allowed to swim anymore, not even with a
really.
buoy.
Okay.
And they could like fine you, and they can like, I don't know, they're not gonna arrest anybody. I think so.
Mm,
But it's like it's a safety procedure because there's a lot of boats passing by with the cave industry.
yeah.
Like I mean, boat coastal trips cave industry. I don't know. That's really the best name. But the places I take people are mostly with no boats.
Yeah.
There's one in Portimão. There's another two in Lagos actually. The Lagos area. There's four in I mean, marked routes. Okay, there are four in the Sagres coastline,
Mm.
Sagres
That
Salema
little
coastline,
fishing, that little
and
protected area looks super nice.
yeah, it's like there's a ton of fish there.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. And once you say, "Listen, look, there's a lot of fish in the water," and people just mostly they just want to swim. And I think my goal is to take people and get like like they're like I'm missing the word. I want them to know there's like a lot of fish,
Mm.
and they have to look at them and know, because that's going to be in the end of the day helping people to understand that like there's an overfishing problem in the world, in Portugal as well, in my opinion, of course. And once you start telling this is a sea bream, and that you tell them the Latin name, the real name for the fish, and this fish behave this way. This is another one. There's in Azores, there's a protected species, which is the dusky grouper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a protected species, so we cannot hunt them, and people cannot fish them. I mean, unless it's commercially. And they're like very curious. And once you find them, they're just like peeking around with the pectoral fins, like um, moving around their heads. It's like a little puppy, and it's like so funny. And the swimmers I had last week here, they were like discovering that, and it changed like suddenly. We had so much life. We had barracudas, we had dusky groupers, we had another species of groupers, we had sea breams, we have you know a ton. And they were not swimming anymore. And I said, we have to go. No, Ricardo, look at this fish and look at this species. What's this? What's that? I saw a big fish. And they were like, suddenly there's like 40-year-olds, 40-year-olds around me. And they're looking like my daughter, like when she's in the water, discovering the fishes. And they were so happy. And that makes my day, actually, in the end of the day. So it's a really easy job.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I like it so much. It's
yeah.
really it's so accomplishing that we take people to see what you like, and once you learn to go under the water, you start to understand there's way more below the surface than above,
Mm.
and that's the interesting part. Like looking downwards is way funnier than doing the front crawl and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine that. For one thing, people say, "Oh, but why do you need a swim guide?" That's it. Well, imagine that you're going to Serra da Estrela, it's the highest point in
Mm-hmm.
Portugal, or Gerês, in the north, or in just any mountain range. So you're gonna need a guide, right? So imagine that you need a guide and in the mountain range and you're tired. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna sit and wait for help, or just ask for help, or whatever. It's not this easy, but I'm just exaggerating a little bit. If you're going into the sea, there's no way of you sitting down. So you have to take everything into consideration, and there's always a risk. And we have to consider that with the insurances, with the permits, with the routes, with the weather forecasts. I don't know.
The currents, the tide. I can
Yeah, the
imagine. I
tides.
imagine someone just going out there on their own. They're going to overestimate their ability, which is very normal in the
Mostly,
ocean.
yeah.
They're going to underestimate the tides or the currents or the wind, and they might not get anywhere. Then panic, try to get out, climb up the rocks, and hurt themselves. They're
They're gonna hurt themselves. Yeah, yeah. just especially if you have a wetsuit, just float around, because if the conditions are good to swim, you're going to be able to float and recover a little bit and think, nobody's coming. I'm going to have to get myself out of this on my own. Then I'm going to tell the story. It's not about heroes. It's just about getting things into perspective. So it's like 800 meters to go into the beach or in the nearest exit. So we have to take it easy. If you cannot do front crawl, you do breaststroke. If you cannot do breaststroke, you do backstroke. If there's a spot where you can stop in a bay, you can stop a little bit. Nobody's like watching and racing with you. So just like, yeah, I had in the past some challenges. There was an American girl. She was Megan. Well, all the Megans I had in the business, they swam really well. And this one, I'm not going to tell her name. Doesn't matter. But this Megan the first, she was one of the first Megans. And she swam really fast. I said, thank you so much. You swim really fast. I'm going to enjoy myself swimming as well, because most of the people swim a little bit slower than I do. That's my job there, helping them out. And she swam really fast in the beginning, like to show off. You know, it's just like an ego. Even that happens more with guys and boys. But the thing was that she swam really fast and got really tired. And suddenly she says, I'm getting really tired. And I noticed that before, but she told me like way later than I noticed. And I said, so we should go back. And she said, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. Nobody's like saying I'm tired. They always say I'm tired when they're really, really tired. So I had to drag her back a little bit on one of the escape routes. That was the beach there. It was in Portimão. It was really easy, but I had to drag her like for 200 meters. She was not going to drown, but she would had like a really bad experience in that day. So we took her back, got her like dragging a little bit. She rested. She recovered. So what are we going to do now? We're gonna through the rocks? No, I think you're getting better. Your face is getting a little bit darker again. She was getting really white. And we came back to the beach. I said, "Wow, that's cool." He said, "Yeah, I do this all the time, so it's easy." So, but people usually try to show off, because nowadays everybody's showing off everything on the social media, and in the real thing, nothing is getting easier. And one thing I say to my athletes and the parents of the kids I coach in the swimming pool, the club, I said, everything got faster and easier and sooner, except sports. Sports are not going to change, because if you're going out in the water, you're going to have to swim. If you're running, you're going to have to run. And if it's a race, the other person, boy or girl, is going to try to beat you. So that is a big thing. So that's one of the things I cherish in sports. Like, people need to understand that sports are just how do you say? They're not gonna change, and that's the real life. And it's I don't know. It's your turn now.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like sometimes the sports, you get out of it what you put in.
Yeah,
if you
that's
put
it.
the effort, you get what out. You get something out.
You could. Yeah, I don't like this situation. You just cannot scroll. You cannot just swipe into the sides or say I don't like this. So you just have to deal with it. So that's the thing. And nowadays, I'm a father of two, and they just think that, oh, it's I don't like this. I said we have to do it, because it's an activity. It's a sports activity, so it's not going to get easier. Well, it will, but in that moment, you have to go over it. So that's what you learn about sports. That's what I learned when I was a kid in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
And in the end of the day, I think people who did sports when they're young, they're always trying to manage a solution. They're always trying to get the best out of themselves, and they can choose the best path for their life. So in the end of the day, that's what sports life tells you about, teaches you about.
Yeah, I definitely remember when I was a kid. We had dolphin swim training in Saudi Arabia. I lived in Saudi Arabia, and we literally got up before school to swim train, and then after school as well, swim train. I spent my life training in the swimming pool, and it actually got to the point that when I went to a boarding school in the UK, when I was 11, we were required to run. Playing rugby, you needed to run, and I literally couldn't run. I'd spent in Saudi Arabia. You don't really do you don't do much running. I mean, you literally because it's so hot and you're always in the pool. I literally had to teach myself how to sprint, which was really.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And I've been into a stop in sports between 22 and 31 years old, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to triathlon. And the first the first 3 or 4 months, there were really a lot of injuries because the feet, they were just swimming was really okay. I started swimming really fast, really easy again. Cycling was, it takes time, but it takes time. But running was injuries all over the place.
Yeah.
And being a swimmer, people said, "Oh, you swim so fast." In triathlon world, I'm not just that fast of a swimmer. But in triathlon, they were saying in the age group races where I was, because I wasn't a pro, neither an elite. And they'll say, "Oh, you swim so fast." Yeah, but I have to take my back and my arms and my chest and when I'm running, and it's really horrible because all the runners are really light and all swimmers are really heavy, and that's crap. When you want to run faster.
Yeah. Especially long distance swimming, we don't really use our legs too much.
No, not at all. Well, nowadays we're teaching kids to use the 6-beat kick. 6-beat kick.
Yeah.
We always ask everybody to kick 6 times per stroke cycle, and then this is the technical model, and then you go into the part where people just can choose their own style. There's one thing that's the tech model, like the form, that's the average form that works for everybody in the world, and then everybody else has got to be choosing their way. For example, if you see Michael Phelps, it's going to be a really easy example. He had a way of swimming that was different from a ton of the other guys. And then now you have, and I remember Alex Popov from the 90s, was a Russian guy. He had a way of swimming that was just on his. So he was the only person in the world top that was swimming that way. And then you have Gretchen Welch. So all the top swimmers, they always swim a little bit different from everybody else. Manodou, the Frenchman, the French guy, and you can name all the big stars in the world. They all different. They all swim differently. The world record holder, the Chinese guy, swims in a different way. Front crawl, different from Michael Phelps. They do swim different races, of course.
How's it that they swim different? What's the technical way? Different from the Chinese?
If you're swimming a longer distance, you're gonna swim a little bit more on a glide, and if you're swimming a shorter distance, it's always about power. In the end of the day, you have to take the drag off, and you have to get more speed, more stroke distance. And for example, if you see the world record holder in the 100-meter freestyle nowadays, it's quite different from the time when we had Mark Spitz, that was the 100-meter world record holder, and in the 70s. So it changed a lot. So we came up to saying, in the teaching method, a good teaching method, so everybody needs to, in the front crawl, of course, everybody needs to kick 6 times per stroke cycle, and then we could be able to choose. We could be able to choose. I think that the triathlon, and also we introduced some changes into the swimming, because, for example, the studies say that triathletes do swim higher in the water because they have the wetsuits. So they started swimming with their arms stretched, which sorry about the geek part, but that's my job. The other one. And this allowed us to understand, as a swim coaches, allowed us to understand, if you swim higher in the water, you could be swimming with a straight arm. A stretch arm means that you could be getting your angular momentum higher. So what we had to do in the swimming pool, we had to gas the kids to kick more. And in the higher speed, it's way more important to kick more than in the lower speed, as you were saying, and you were right. I don't kick at all. I do in my race pace. And I'm not racing anymore. But in my race pace, I did 4 strokes per cycle, and some people do less. some people do more. For example, the guy, I think it's Justin Biederman.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not gonna say a wrong name. It's the German guy who won the Olympics in Tokyo. He did 6 beats. The second guy, the Paltrinieri, the Italian one, he did 1.5 kick. So
Wow.
it's always like a personal style.
Yeah.
It's like as in running. You remember Paula Radcliffe?
Yeah.
She had like a really strange way of running, but it did work for her. So we have to bear that into a thing. So we have to take that into consideration, of course.
I think
There's a personal.
I think I tend to kick like on. I'll kick on the breath. So it depends if I'm doing alternate breathing or four on the twist of the rotation of the body. I'll do a kick. Probably just to sort of counteract the rotation of the body. I don't know.
And one thing I say to people, because some people come here to meet me and say, so I want to swim faster. And my advice is, if you want to swim faster, you need to get swim lessons. You have to start swimming at 4 when they're 40, but it's a joke, of course.
Yeah.
And because it does help a lot. And it's like one of the big things in swimming is that you have to start soon. And then I say, well, and you have to get swimming lessons, and there's nothing coming really fast in one day. So it's going to take a few months. So that's why people have a job in swimming.
Yeah, it's just like, it's exactly like surfing. I get a lot of sort of late starters and they're like, how come I can't surf like that? Because it's, you just have to be in the water all the time. I think it's the same as swimming. As a kid, it becomes instinctive. And it's much harder to train. You just have to train it in a different way when people are older. You have to coach surfing, and I guess swimming. You just have to approach it in a different way than you do with youngsters.
Well, at my first job, the manager of the swimming pool said, it's way more in grown-ups. It's going to be way more important to deal with the expectations in the first day, or the second day, or the first week, than the results. Because I was like, one of the first days I was teaching, and I was like giving them the grown-ups really some nice advice, and I said, but yeah, we just stopped. We didn't swim. And I said, well, you need this. And the guy says, oh, you have to deal with the expectations also. So, for example, if you're taking somebody to swim in the sea, I know they're not going to be learning, so I have to get like my performance model away, and let's just enjoy. And when people want to go into the sea, man, it's just enjoying the sea. And if you want to learn, you have to go into the swimming pool. That's spirit. If you're just, some people are just saying they could be like teaching you to swim in the sea. That's not going to be working. It could be helping out, but one of the basic things is like the body position in the water. But if you're going to get a wetsuit in the person, it's not going to work anymore, because the wetsuit makes everything way different. So it's not about easy, it's about different.
Yeah. What's the type of, I was thinking that actually, what's the sort of entry level swimming that people have to get to come with you on and I was also thinking, you were talking about the spotting fish. Do you use a snorkel and mask, and do you use swim fins?
No,
just with the goggles?
Swimming.
Yeah,
it's a swimming trip.
Okay.
I always advise people to get clean goggles, and if you're getting an older goggles, you're gonna get some any dishwasher, any shower gel in your goggles the previous day. You let it dry, and once you go into the water, you just rinse them really fast, and you get like, they last for a lot of time. So this is a really nice tip I always take to people before they swim, because we start talking. People, for example, you go into the website, you book, and then you say, so what's because there's a lot of questions in the website, and I always try to understand what's the minimum level. And the minimum level is that you can swim for like 500 meters with a non-stop at the pace that you wish.
Okay.
And if somebody is starting to swim in the sea in the first time, they're not going to be like Michael Phelps's or top level swimmers. They're going to be entry level swimmers. So, but that's the thing. it's like you feel like that these people sometimes enjoy and appreciate more your work than a top level swimmer, because it's just giving them a world that they could have never seen in any other way. So, and you're just there to provide safety and some teaching, but mostly if you know how to swim, it's gonna be okay. Like minimum swimming, minimum front crawl. Then you're gonna have to take a buoy, and the buoy is always like, it's not a safety device, but it can help you out
rest.
to just float a little bit.
Just
of
grab
course.
onto it, have a rest a bit, and
yeah, it's not a life jacket, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a buoy. It's like a big yellow thing. And if you look if the listeners check the Instagram account at Adamastor Swim Adventures, they're gonna see that we always take swim buoys. We didn't take swim buoys because a few months ago, one of my old swimmers said, "Ricardo, what about we have a lot of rain this year. Let's do the Rad Dam. It's a silver water dam, like a water reservoir from one side to the other one. It was an 8.9K, and we ended up doing it really easy. And we didn't took buoys because all of those guys and girls, they were my swimmers. I knew what was happening with them. I know what they swim. They're like pretty kind of fit. We took two kayaks with like with food on top, and this was like a big fun, because I really felt really happy in that day. On the other way, like, it's not taking new people to swim. In this situation, I felt like really cherished because I had 5 generations of swimmers in the water. The girl still swims. She went to the European Championships in open water swim. I was the oldest guy ever, all kids. And then there was like the other 3. They were all from different generations in the swimming pool, but they're all friends still. So they hang out, they go to have a party together, and every time they're like in their hometown again. And they said, "Oh, let's do this challenge with Ricardo." And said, so these guys didn't took a buoy, but they didn't need it. There's no boats. They really knew how to swim, and then we had we had life jackets in the boat, so if they had to stop, and we had 2 kayaks, so it was like really needed. But every other time I get people to take swimming pools, and some people don't want to. I say, "Oh, I don't want to." It's like very, very uncommon, but some people, "Oh, I don't like that too much." I say, "Sorry, we have to take this. I really insist." If you need to rest, and you need to rest, but mostly in the sea is to be spotted.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. That's the big problem with the amount of boats around and people renting boats. That is the real issue, because the companies that are operating, they always have a skipper that's very experienced to be in that position, and they have a sailor, and everybody's looking at the sea all the time. But either way, there could be accidents anyway. But people who rent boats just took the license 2 weeks ago, whatever, or 2 years or 20 years. And they're not in the water every day. They don't expect there's a guy who's swimming open water, like outside, like 500 meters off the coastline, and that could be leading to accidents. So the safety buoys are really important. So that's the thing. Yeah.
What do you think about the boat tours? Because I was a really good friend of mine. He's actually a really nice photographer. He's from Lagos, actually, João. And he was telling me, like, he was swimming in one of the caves in Lagos, and one of the boats came in there. He was swimming in there, taking photography and stuff. And one of the boats came in there, and they said, "Hey, you got to get out of here. You're not allowed to swim in here, and we're taking a tour in here." And he was really upset. He's a local boy from Lagos, and he was told to leave the caves, which he swum ever since he was a kid. And all of a sudden, this tourist boat's telling him to get out of there. Do you often get that, or do you try to avoid that sort of timing, or you just go to a different location, I suppose?
The place you're talking about, I think, that is in Lagos. It's Piedade Edge, Ponta da Piedade.
Yeah.
I don't swim there because I don't. I don't take people to swim there, and I've swum there in the past, so I'm not gonna discover anything. So from my own, I'm not gonna go there. I go to places where I know there are no boats.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. And these people are just, everybody wants to get the one more euro in their pocket. So everybody's working. So, and when they're working in the sea, I don't know if there is any concrete rule about swimming or not swimming that particular place, because I really don't swim there, so I haven't looked for. But it's just like, it should be a matter of common sense. So if the guy was in the water, if you're asking for my opinion, he had the right to be there, and the boat person would have to detour or do something else, because I bet the clients in the boat would not be offended because they were not seeing that cave. There's a ton of caves to see there. But I know it's just like people want to get the most of the summertime or any sunshine.
This episode is brought to you by Flow Sports and Flow Grappling, the streaming platform dedicated for fans of grappling, rugby, basketball, volleyball, swimming, cycling, and much more. If you're into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you'll want to head straight to Flow Grappling. They stream all the major events, IBJJF, ADCC, WNO, and the Pan Ams. And yes, even the IBJJF European Masters, where you could have watched me win gold. Tap the link in the show notes or go to podcastportugal.com to subscribe and get access to all the action. Yeah, so Adam, what is your top favorite swim locations, do you think? You can include the Algarve, Portugal, Azores.
Yeah. I've been in a lot of places swimming. I've swum in the north of Spain, in Galicia. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's quite different. The landscape under the water is quite different from the one I'm used to. I've swum in the middle of the country in Peniche also, and in Lisbon coast. It's like, doesn't tell me too much. It's like murky water all the time. But it's a swim. You could swim outside. It's nice to swim outside all the time. In Algarve for sure, because the landscape is amazing. I started to understand that when I started to go to Açores, because when I got there, I said, "Oh, all the black rocks," and everybody there or here, as I'm here now in Açores, they were saying, "Yeah, it's just black rocks." I said, "Yeah, in my place it's always yellow," and I said, "It's yellow." Yeah, all the rocks are yellow and white. I said, "Wow, that's amazing." He said, "Yeah, it's rocks." In the end of the day, you just need to see different things. Under the water, though, I've swum in Madeira Island. It's nice, but there's nothing to see except rocks. It's just, there's no fish. Well, at least in my perspective. In Açores, it's like an aquarium. It's like amazing. And I have 2 trips here this summer. One is in São Jorge, what just happened, and the other one is going to be in São Miguel. It's the big island where you have all the direct flights. It's nice. It has less fish, less things to see under the water than here. But we just have to tell people how to identify the species and enjoy nature. That's
the water is amazing there. It's a kind of, because of the black rocks, and I think also because it's so deep and then so shallow. It's like a beautiful Payne's gray, like a sort of interesting color, the ocean there. I love it.
Yeah. For example, in the mainland in Algarve, when we have 15 meters of water visibility, we get really happy. It's like, we call it's a glass day. It's like very glassy, the water. In here today, I was swimming outside and I had like plus 30 meters. You could see like forever. And it's like, wow. And it's full of animals and fishes and all the fish around the rocks and all the barnacles and the sea urchins, the little fish, the big fish, the color fish. And we have that also in the mainland, but in here you can see them easier. That's a different thing.
And I remember part of my work in the Middle East meant that I was at sea a lot in the Red Sea, and I spent so much time there, and visibility, and you soon start to learn all the different names of the fish and the species. I've probably forgotten them now, but I could literally spot and name every single fish and every single variety.
Yeah.
Spearfishing there as well is
it's
really,
great, isn't
really
it?
different. I love to spearfish in Portugal, but I struggle a little bit with the wetsuit. The bubbles and the weights and getting in and out, and I don't, spearfishing in Saudi and especially in the summertime, like super early in the morning, and just in a pair of shorts. Maybe I'd wear like a little 1 mil vest, neoprene vest, but
That's a joke.
but the freedom, you hardly have to have any weights around your waist, and just the freedom of,
Yeah. Well, in Algarve, normally we can use 5 millimeter
Mine is
wetsuits.
a 7. Mine is a 7 mil, but it's for kind of winter
Oh.
time as well. But
Yeah. No, we use 7 or 8 all year round because this way you don't have cold, and when you don't have cold, you take good decisions.
exactly.
If you see on my Instagram the swimming, I always have a wetsuit. And even with the water in 23, 24 degrees as it's now in Algarve, I would be wearing wetsuit with the clients or the swimmers or the guests, whatever you want to call, because I need to take decisions. And if I have any problem, at least a person that is not just as fit could help me out, because I would be floating, because the wetsuit makes you float. And for swimming, it's a safety situation.
Yeah.
It's a safety device, actually, because a 5 millimeter wetsuit. No, sorry, an open water swimming wetsuit. I have a lot of kind of wetsuits. It gets you floating really, really easy, and it's a safety protocol, actually. So yeah.
I mean, I just can't get used to it. It's just the bubbles and the weight. I have a really good suit. Yeah, I bought it from Portimão. The little spearfishing shop in, I can't remember the name. Pingu.
Yeah.
No, Pinguim. Yeah,
Penguin
yeah,
soup.
the penguin soup.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I can't dealing with all. With spearfishing, sometimes it's enough to deal with the reels and the lines and the resetting and then all of the buoy and all the fish hanging off, and there's so many things. It can get kind of dangerous, especially with the swell. The ropes start to wrap around, and you can soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the buoy, there's the line, there's the weight for the buoy, there's the spearfishing gun, there's the vest, there's the trousers,
knife
the
as
weight
well.
belt,
It gets
the
caught up with
knife,
things.
the gloves.
Yeah. It gets really interesting.
It's like moving your house. Yeah. It's a lot of things.
We used to do a lot of, we used to take a kayak out to, we used to have maybe 2, 3, 4 of us. We each used to take a kayak. That used to take all our equipment, and then off the drop off, we would have like a little anchor on each kayak. And that's perfect then, because then you can use that as somewhere to keep the fish, because you want to keep the fish in the Red Sea a long way from where you are, because just for the safety with
There's
the
going to be
sharks,
sharks, right?
Quite a few tigers, quite a few bull sharks.
That's another level. I've never been to that.
Yeah, I've had a few near misses. There was these islands we used to spearfish. It's called Habik. And literally you have to drive into the desert, and then you would, there's no swell really in the Red Sea unless you get a bit of sea chop, a little bit of wind swell. And so you can't really see where these coral heads are, because they're just a little bit under the water. They're literally the coral that forms on top of a volcano that's underwater. So they literally come out from super deep and then goes really shallow, and the coral all sits on the top. And then if you've got two peaks quite close together, you have like a big canyon between with a lot of current. And I used to find them on Google Maps. There was the early days of Google Earth.
Whoa.
I used to find these spots. I used to go there by land. I used to park the car so it was facing directly east-west. And we used to swim in line with the headlights of the car, and try to go exactly west. And we would sort of time, okay, look, if we're going to swim, 400 meters or 800 meters, and, say if we're starting to go into the 15-minute mark, maybe we've swum past it, time to come back. So there was a lot of sort of guessing, and eventually we'd find these places, because you couldn't see anything. Absolutely nothing. And then all of a sudden you approach these underwater volcano heads, and it would all light up, because all the coral would have fallen down and started to sort of form like a white sand just at the base. And the whole environment would suddenly light up like a big TV, and there'd be schools of trevally swimming past you, and sharks and barracudas, and it was really, really magical. And visibility, I mean, I couldn't even say 30 meters, 45 meters, ridiculous visibility, and so much sea life. And not scared of spearfishermen either,
Well, you had a guy that's like a big pro, David Ochoa, talking here a few weeks ago. I listened to him, and he was just saying one thing, that is that we can enjoy different things in different scenarios. For example, and going back to swimming, as he was saying, he likes to catch a sea bass of 2 kilos in the mainland Portugal. It's like gives in the same taste, between commas, that you get like a big fish outside somewhere else. And it's just like swimming. I can enjoy swimming in the swimming pool. I like it a lot because it's all about performance and just relaxing, warm water or cold water, whatever, depends on the swimming pool. But I like to swim also in the main one of Algarve, because anything you see is going to be like a big bonus. In the Azores, anything you're gonna see, it's gonna be amazing. But it's not that big bonus. It's always expected. And and today I was like under the water and watching a big school of barracudas. We call bicudas here. And you can just can remember the eyes. They're like big eyes. So there's always something that goes into your mind. In the south coast of Algarve, I remember the banded sea breams. They have these big, thick brown lines on the back. They're like great. So, we need to enjoy everything we have, and that's gonna be. In the end of the day, that's the funny part about going into different places.
I mean, it's a massive challenge spearfishing in Portugal. I really respect the guys that can do it. It's just very different.
Yeah. There's a lot of champions.
Yeah. Jody, Jody. Jody, because he's from your
friend of mine.
town, isn't he? He's from your city, Portimão.
Yeah, he's from my town. Yeah. They're like in a different level.
I know.
But from parties, and I was one of the presenters in the World Spearfishing in Sagres when he won, and it was like really nice. And it's a really humble guy, actually. In the end, he won the World Championship twice. He lives from the sea, like catching shellfish or something like that. I think so. But in the end of the day, it's a very humble guy. I believe all the pro athletes are very humble because they're willing to learn with anybody around them, because that's going to be making them faster or stronger or more efficient.
So part of me believes they're not really part of this land anyway. Part of me thinks they're sort of half sea creature. They don't. They move and they come alive more in the ocean than they do on land. I've often thought that
they're like different creatures.
I've often thought that about people of the ocean. No, I mean, Sagres is another amazing place to spearfish. That sort of I've never spearfished there, but I've done a lot of free diving between the Sagres and where is it, Barranco. That sort of nature.
Barranco.
Yeah, that beautiful natural spot there is really cool.
I have the spots to swim there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. It's one of my best things there. One of my best routes. It's at least for me. Because, for example, every place you swim, I started to identify the colors. So, in Algarve, Portimão area, Portimão, Albufeira, Carvoeiro, there's always like this light green. In Sagres area, when the water is clear, you have to take it off the equation. We have to take off the equation when it's murky, when it's like a storm or something. But when it's clean, it's like clear water. You have this light green. In Portimão area, at Lagos also. Once you start passing by Salema into the direction of Sagres, southwest, you get like this deep emerald green. In Madeira, I found a light blue, and in Azores, as you said, it's a big blue. It's like a big, deep blue. It's like I've been watching it today, and it was like, crazy. Wow, this is so
crazy
blue.
Color. Actually, if you go into the canyon in the Algarve, it starts to go blue, right? I noticed if you go
It
Do you do
does,
any
yeah.
swimming
It's
out there?
offshore, of
There's not
course.
much
Yeah,
not much to see there really.
there's not
Yeah.
much to see, of course. There's one thing we have on the website that we did. I did twice. One was last year in September in year zero. I call it year zero because it was a test of a
Yeah.
swim camp with a couple of clients that from Belgium, and they were just swimming. It was so calm the sea that was just they were swimming in the southwest corner below the lighthouse in the Cape of Cape of Saint Vincent. And I got that into the website, and I said, well, let's try to understand if people want to really do this. And I have these four crazy guys. I mean, crazy in a good way, of course. They said, Ricardo, let's do this. So we got the boat. They booked. We got the boat, but it was just like, when you have a big wave contest in Nazaré, everybody is registered, and suddenly there's a big swell coming, so everybody gets their plane and ready to race, right? Ready to do the surfing contest. And this is the other way. So everybody books, and when we had an opening window, I called them. I say, it's going to be tomorrow. So everybody jumped in the cars. And the other day we were swimming, and we swam from Praia do Telheiro, 3.5 kilometers on top. And we swam the other 3 into Praia do Beliche. So it was a 6.5K swim. And those were like very challenging situations,
Must be a
really
lot of weird
challenging
currents around there. There must be
conditions.
some strange currents around those different headlands.
It is. But we had a really nice skipper. I didn't swim that day. I was like on my edge, of course, because it was like a situation where the sea there, it's just like not that coastal sea, because you come from 45 meters deep, and then there's a 20 meter between the giant rock and that canal between the giant rock and the cliff is 20 meters deep, and they had to swim between that. So and they said, shall we go there? I said, yeah, just keep going in the middle. And they were just like being taken like a current. It was really strong. Like it's going to be like a 3-4 knot current. And they came like inside so fast. And I said, wow. And they were like very happy, because it's the thing I was telling you about before. They had like this big face. Really happy.
They must have been happy that they timed the current going the right way, because I'm sure it goes another way with the tide.
So we
right?
could, yeah. No, in there's I think it's the only place in Portugal mainland I know, and except rivers, of course, where we can really feel the tide. Because in the islands, in Azores and Madeira, all the Micronesia, Azores, Madeira, Canary Islands, Cape Verde, you always have current because of the tides. In the north hemisphere, when the tide is going up, the currents are going up as well. So there's a current going north, and then you have to understand how each island and each shape of each island affects that. Some islands are like bigger, very challenging. The other ones are just easy, but always in the edges of the islands, it's always like really rough. In Sagres, it's the same thing as well. So it's as a corner. So the water is going up to Lisbon up north. Doesn't reach Lisbon, of course, but it's going up north. And that part is like quite challenging. And we had that figure out. The current was going, the tide was coming down. So they were always with the current. Usually they do like 145, 150 each 100 meters. And they were doing 1 minute and 10, the average, because they took the GPS, the Garmin's and the Apple Watches and whatever. So nowadays it's like everybody does have it. And they were like registering, and it's like really fast. I said, whoa, world record for you guys. I said, yeah, really fast, Ricky. Thank you so much.
It's crazy.
They like loved it. I did love it as well. It's not a product that I do have too many people asking, because I always talk a little bit against it. So what's your swimming level? Have you swum in rough seas? Have you surfed? It's a big amount of questions I ask, because that's the big challenging situation in that place. That is really challenging. And if we have really small wave conditions, happens like 2 days a year in that area. But we had an opening, and we had 1.6 meter wave, but the period of the wave was small, So we could do it. So but it was challenging anyway. So yeah, and we had a really experienced skipper from the area, and I really trust the guy. So it has a boat company there. It's called Salema Tours. I really advise people to book with them because they have wildlife experiences. They take 3 hours, and what they do well.
It's the most dolphins I've seen in the Algarve is also Salema, and between that area.
Yeah. They started to understand how the whales move, like humpback whales and common whales, and they see a lot. And they say Azores is one of the best places to see the whales, to spot them. But with these guys, it's always the same. It's also the same thing. So yeah.
Have you ever been to the Maldives?
No, I've never jumped out of Europe. I wanted to swim. Most of a big part of the clients are Irish, and they always say you should go to Ireland.
Definitely. Ireland and Wales.
Every time I have
beautiful coastline. Really interesting coastline.
Yeah, everybody says that. I've seen some pictures of Cornwall and Ireland and South Wales. I said, wow, this is amazing. But I really cannot find time because in the summertime, I'm always trying to book something. It's my job actually in this part. In the swimming, I'm busy in the winter time, and in the summertime with this like side job. It's not really a side job, but it's like something that doesn't stress me too much. It's like, but it takes me some time, of course, but it's funny actually taking people to enjoy the sea. It's one of the most challenging
around
things.
The Azores is
nice.
Very cool. I don't think you need to go anywhere else. Yeah, really.
Well, you gotta see some things, of course. I really wanted to swim with tiger sharks, but I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be a life-threatening situation.
To see them, actually. It's pretty hard. Tiger sharks is not easy. I've seen one in the Maldives, but it was in the evening time. No, but talking about tides, it's something, and I think you get the same thing when you talk to skippers, and you have to keep your ears open about all of the different things that happen with tides and locations and everywhere you're going to take your clients, because that's the value you offer, right? To keep them safe. Sometimes they don't even know what you're keeping them safe from. But I mean, I've done some surf guiding trips and stuff to the Maldives, and I was talking, as you do on these boats, because you can't watch Netflix and stuff, so you get to spend a lot of time talking to people. And this captain, he was a fisherman before he was captaining this charter boat, and he was telling me something fascinating about the tides in the Maldives. That when they get, if you imagine like the atolls, it's like a big fruit bowl, like a big basin. So when the tide is pulling out, it actually empties the fruit bowl of water. So then you get this, some of it's going out in some parts, some channels, some breaks in the atoll. And then in other parts, it's because the water is lowing, it's sucking it back in. So you can get like outgoing tides when it's a dropping tide, but you can also get incoming tides into the atoll. So you can imagine trying to anchor a couple of million euro charter boat in these waters. You really have to know what you're doing, because
the first time I felt really a tide was here in this island where I'm standing now. Was one of the edges, and we were with the tide, like spearfishing and free diving. Really funny. There was a lot of fish, bullfish, barracudas, and we were like doing a catch of our life. And suddenly, I said, "Well, let's go back," and the tide changes. And we were like hanging because we couldn't swim against it really. And I was like pretty fit back then. And the friend of mine was a swimmer with me at the club when we were like swimming buddies, and we were like hanging for 45 minutes in the hour buoy. We struggled to anchor it in the bottom, and we were like hanging for 45 minutes and waiting. And we were thinking, well, we're going to have to spend the night in the cliff, and tomorrow we're going to go back, or in 6 hours, we're going to go back, because we were like 500 meters from the harbor. But we couldn't really go back against that tide. It was like really strong. It was in August, full moon tide.
This was in Velish. This is Velish, was like, it from the harbor? Was it around the sort of eastern side? Or
no, it was Topu. It was on the other corner. Yeah, Topu.
Right, on that side, on the west side. Okay.
Yeah, it was on the west side. So no, east. Sorry, east side. Okay. East side. It was the part that is closer to the Portugal mainland.
Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah,
and we ended up seeing one boat. And I say, yeah. And the guys came out, are you okay? He said, yeah, we need help. And they got us into the boat, and there were spearfishers as well. And they said, why are you coming here without a boat? Are you crazy? I said, well, we're just kids. We were 25 or something. And I ended up having a situation with one skipper, because you mentioned skippers. Some are just better than the other ones. And I was like having a struggle in Madeira when I was working in elsewhere. And I was saying the tide is going to be taking people onto east. And the guy said, no, the tide is going to be taking people into west. I said, no, the tide is going east. The waves are going west. And the waves are going to be like 25 centimeters deep. And the tide is full, all the water. And they jumped into, the clients jumped into the water. And I was like saying, okay, I can beat this current. Nobody else here can. And the guy said, oh, it's going to be okay. No, nobody did. So everybody got into the boat. And the owner of the company said, well, you're right. How did you know that? I said, well, there's a life in the water, you know? That's help. And but on wind, so just I'm not gonna say any secret. On Windy, the app, you can see the currents, and they change every 6 hours. So it's gonna be, if you think about it, if you really need to know what's the direction of the current, Windy is gonna tell you the speed of the current. It's gonna tell you the power of the current. So it's just thinking. Nowadays, there's information all over the place. We just have to find it, actually. So
and assimilate it. It's not always going to be. I know from surf forecasting, you get a sort of picture. You got a datum, but you need that local. Nothing can beat literally an eye on the coast and just combining that with your data. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, sometimes I'm staying in Calheta. It's in São Jorge, and I go into the sea, and I go into just walk 50 meters of my house, and I just look at the sea and say, well, the current is going that way, and the waves are going that way. And then I come back and then open all the apps on all the websites I know, and I start to look at them. So this is like building the knowledge. And because, for example, last year we had a situation where we had, for 3 or 4 days, there was always the water was always going in the same direction. And as I started looking for that and trying to understand what's happening, because usually the tides go into one direction and then the other one, and this changes twice a day. But that time was like always on the same direction. I was like going every 3 or 4 hours looking at the sea. I say, it's still going on the same direction. It was the Gulf current that was like hitting the islands. So it's a big one. This is a big one. Yeah. So it was always going in the same direction, which was really nice. And this island is like a needle, so it's just everything goes really fast through it. So there's a lot of life here. Sea life, just because of that, but it's like challenging all the time.
It loves the movement of the water and upturnings and upwellings. Yeah, there's so much to learn with the ocean, right? So, Ricardo, where can people find you? So listeners are gonna be so interested to find out more, and how much knowledge they need to have to swim. You said they should be able to swim about 500 meters easily with their own pace.
Yeah, swimming any basic front crawl. Or even
breaststroke. They can wear swim fins.
They can wear swim fins, swim paddles. I advise against snorkels, because they just there's just something else you need to take care. But if people need to, they're just going to enjoy, and it's a service. It's a paid service in the end of the day. But as a swimming coach, a swim teacher, I just like to tell people, this is going to be better for you. This is going to be my advice. So, but either way, it's your choice. And mostly people like to swim with fins sometimes, because they feel more confident. Even though they don't wear the fins, they know they have them. It's just like a turbocharger in your car. You don't have to be pushing the throttle all the time. But it's just what it is. So, and people can find me on WhatsApp. So, on my website, that's adamastorswim.pt. Or Adamastor Swim Adventures, and then you can find me on Instagram. That's Adamastor Swim Adventures as well, and through there we can start chatting and try to figure out what's the best adventure for anybody.
So you can tailor it to a group, and you have certain levels.
Yeah. my goal would be like trying to tailor trips all the time, because the group I had here in São Jorge was a tailor trip, and they ended up having way more than they asked for. I mean, they traveled through all the islands. We had hiking routes, we have cultural things, we had wine tasting, we had the cheese tasting,
São
because it's the
Jorge
capital of the
cheese.
cheeses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
São Jorge cheese is amazing. So I think I'm gonna get heavier in the end of the month, because I'm spending
I
here.
doubt it. The amount of time you spend swimming in the water. That's the good thing. That's going to be one of your selling points. Eat as much as you want, because we're going to burn it off in the water.
We're gonna burn, yeah. And then we go into the restaurants, the local restaurants. Also, we ask always fresh fish or meat or vegan food. Of course, people can choose what they want to eat, but I advise with fish or local foods. I mean, local fish, local meat. There's a lot of cows in the Azores, so it's a lot of good food. We go into local restaurants, people I do know personally. I don't just throw the swimmers into something like hamburgers or KFCs or whatever, or any fast food.
Is
So
there a KFC
no way.
in São Jorge? I don't think
take people. No. I mean, not just an hamburger company. We go and eat. There was one day we ate hamburgers, but it was like fresh made, local
from the Azores
bread,
beef is the best.
local
You
meat.
just have to look at the color of the
like
grass there to realize that that it's going to taste good. The meat.
Of course, it does. It's great. It's really great. And we had some redfish, and I came to the restaurant, and I said to the owner, or the lady, I said, "What about the fish? Is it good?" She said, "Really fresh, but with a really big glow in their eyes." And this means that people here are really happy to welcome tourists, and they like to show their place, as everybody else does. I mean, Portugal is one of the most welcoming places in the world, and Azores is just Portuguese, so it's just what it is. It could be like you need to take the shell off first time sometimes, but if you're going with a guide, that's going to be okay.
Exactly.
That's good.
No, that's nice. So I'll leave the link in the show notes, because then just so they can literally just go there and on whatever podcast platform you're watching this, just scroll down, look in the show notes, and there'll be a link directly to Ricardo's offering, websites and Instagrams and all that kind of thing. Even if you just follow his Instagram to start with, to get a feel, because there's some really nice. That's how I found you. I really liked watching your little swim tales there. With it's beautiful. It's really good. The reels.
We're gonna have one private swim camp. It's in the beginning of September, so listeners can start looking into it. This one it's just with the Brazilian ones, just with the Brazilian clients, and I'm gonna call it Zuka swim, because in Portuguese they say Zucas are the Brazilian ones, as the Tugas are the Portuguese. This is the Zuka. And then in the end of the month, I'm going to São Miguel again, into Azores, with a group, another tailored trip. And then let's see what we can find to do in the next years or whatever. So at least I'm having fun at the end of the day.
Exactly. I think it's really unique, and I think I think the ocean is a place where people see other people having fun in it, but they're not necessarily aware of all the things that you have to learn. So the more that you enter the ocean, if it's surfing, surf guiding, swimming, snorkeling, spearfishing, going by boat, windsurfing, anything, I think always it's a good idea to find a guide just to introduce you and to help you see the different things that are happening, not only from a experiential point of view, but from a safety aspect as well. Because the most scary thing I've ever seen in the water, not a shark, but it's overconfidence and then panic.
I would say that.
And then the panic that sets in when they realize suddenly that they've been humbled by the ocean and they're overconfident.
It really gets you in your feet, right? Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So great. Adam. Sorry, not Adam. I keep calling you Adamastor because Adamastor is a Greek. He's a Greek mythological.
No, Adamastor. It's a mythological monster that was talked about in one book that is well known for the Portuguese, that is Lusíadas. It was written from Luís de Camões in the 15th century, and it was the cliff that was holding the Portuguese into the discoveries. Right. I mean, they were going to trying to figure out the sea path to India, trading with an ease, and they were like using the currents, but they were like crashing the boats most of the time on Cape Town. And it was like that. That was a problem. They would just figure out. They didn't have forecasts, of course. They just had a lot of technology back then, but not the one we have today. And they were just going there. And it was the name was just like conquering the seas, enjoying the waves, something like that. It just came into my mind. I said, well, I think this is going to be the name. And it was Adamastor. But some more people think that my name is Adam.
I keep calling you Adam before, and that's Ricardo.
It's all right. It's all right. Don't mind.
Great. Ricardo, thanks. It's been really cool chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, man. And, take care. Ciao. This is Justin West from Podcast Portugal. Out. Join our team. We are looking for advertising partnership managers. Podcast Portugal is expanding. Be the sales force behind our next big leap. We are looking for somebody who's ambitious and able to work remotely to drive exciting advertiser partnerships. You'll be rewarded with uncapped, commission-only earnings, potentially in the region of 3,000 to 6,000 euros per month. We're looking for somebody with B2B sales experience, top-level English, possible added bonus is Portuguese, fast professional email skills is a must. You can apply with a short video CV, and you can find the job description and the WhatsApp link to send the video on podcastportugal.com/careers. If shortlisted, you can showcase your sales skills by selling us a sponsorship. Good luck, and I really look forward to you joining our team. Geography, all the things I can learn without machine. I need some fuel, I need a monster now. I'm the last to come, the cloud. Won't you go start, friend? Don't let it get burned. Don't let it get burned. Don't let it get all the way downtown with a little bit of love. A little bit of love.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.